May I congratulate you and your team for ably guiding the work of the Security Council for the month of July, and I must thank you for convening today's debate. I would like to pay my respects and recognize His Excellency, the eminent Foreign Minister of Afghanistan, Mr. Salman Rasool, who joins us here today, and we welcome him to the Security Council. I would like to appreciate the briefing by Stefan Mastura for the important work done by UNAMA under his able leadership. But before I proceed any further, I would like to speak about and offer a eulogy for that great personage, Sayyid Burhanuddin Rabbani, who was unfortunately martyred at a time when the world needed him the most. For those of us here who were not aware of his contributions, his genius, his capabilities, and his immense efforts, he was a person who brought together not just Afghans, but also the people of Pakistan and the government towards the government and people of Afghanistan. And I'm not terribly sure there is anyone who can fit into his shoes. And I would like to state, we stand by the people of Afghanistan in not only this hour of grief, but this tremendous moment of trial. He was martyred by the enemies of peace and reconciliation in Afghanistan. These forces can only be defeated by an even greater resolve for reconciliation and reintegration. A reconciled Afghanistan was his dream till the very last moment of his illustrious life. And in fact, he ran back post-haste from Tehran through Dubai to Afghanistan to meet this awkward end. He was a person who had a dream, and he knew that the long-term solution to security challenges was rooted in effective reconciliation and reintegration. I feel it would be important to bring certain aspects of this before this assembly of personages in the Security Council. Now, I will read to you portions of Bashir Ahmad Guaq of the Asian Times and his work accompanied by Fruit Bazan of Radio Free Afghanistan and their correspondent Zarhuna Mangal. Mr. Rabbani was summoned to his home to receive a man bearing, and I quote, a special message from Afghan Taliban leader Mullah Omar. Let there be no doubt about this fact. The National Directorate of Security of Afghanistan, who was witness to this gruesome act, says that Rahmatullah Wahid-Yar, a member of the High Peace Council and former deputy minister in the former Taliban regime, was the one who brought the bomber to meet with Professor Rabbani. And he was accompanied by top presidential advisor Mohammad Masoom Stanakzai, who was also seriously injured in that day's attack. Who is Rahmatullah Wahid-Yar? Your document of this very assembly delists him at a time when I had sat here and said before you and Mr. Mistura that we are delisting a lot of people. I hope we know what we're doing. Unfortunately, it seems not necessarily so. He was delisted vide your letter of 18 July 2011, number SCA/14/11 in brackets 2 of the chairman of the 1988 Committee of the Security Council. Now, the other important aspects of this was that after this gruesome incident, and the very much revered President Hamid Karzai himself has said that it was Mr. Stanigzai who first alerted him that a messenger had arrived in Kabul bearing an important message from the Taliban. Now, initially, and this is very interesting, Mr. Zabiullah Mujahid claimed responsibility, the Taliban spokesman, for the attack in an interview with Reuters. But as world indignation built up, the same spokesman later wrote in a statement to Radio Free Afghanistan that the group did not know about the incident. Very bad. I then go a step further. And this is very interesting. Reminds me of Casablanca on the last part of the film. Major von Richter has been shot dead. Round up the usual suspects. Now the Balak provincial governor, Mr. Atta Mohammad Noor, tells Radio Free Afghanistan the next day, oh, it is Pakistan's ICI which was supporting them. I wonder where he got that from in Balak. Anyway, this was considered very credible by some people, I'm sorry to say. But then, the intelligence NDS spokesman, Shafiqullah Tahiri, said it was possible that apart from the Quetta Shura, and this is a new interdiction, the Leadership Council of the Afghan Taliban that is believed to be based in Pakistan, which I find very intriguing, how this all shifts into a mold with great ease. Now, it changes again. The same person says our investigations are continuing, despite such major accusations being made. And as far as we know, it is a person named Hamidullah Akhund who came to talk to the Peace Council, and I stress, he claims to be representing the Quetta Shura. This means, ergo, conclusion, that the Quetta Shura was involved in the attack. I have no time for the Quetta Shura or anyone else who propagates violence. But I do wonder why it is, in a way, moved towards Pakistan in matters that normally become inimical to my country. And I now quote to you what I said to this council many times. The opposition grouping, headed by opposition leader Abdullah, has strongly opposed the idea of negotiating with the Taliban and has characterized the group as unworthy of participating in the government. These are all matters raised by Radio Free Kabul and Mr. Buck in the Asian Times. I thought it pertinent to read these matters out before you. Professor Rabbani's untimely demise must not leave a void. We hope that the Security Council will respect the legacy of Professor Rabbani, and we respect the determination of the Afghan government and its people for a viable and result-oriented reconciliation process. Only an Afghanistan at peace with itself can ensure the security of its own people, its assets, and its visitors. And only when they are settled will my country of Pakistan be settled and face less of a security threat than it does today. The UN Secretary General's report under consideration has rightly underlined the need for constructive dialogue, for reconciliation by avoiding politics of mistrust, intimidation, fear, or revenge. We agree with this observation. Reconciliation under threat of coercion or retribution is inferior at best. Pakistan is working for Afghanistan's security and stability in three distinct layers. One, we have maintained a robust presence of our forces along the international border, and we would hope it is being done on the other side as well. Our total troops in paramilitary deployment along the border regions far exceeds the number of international troops in entire Afghanistan. Second, we provide and seek cross-border security and intelligence cooperation in concrete terms. This is done under the auspices of the Tripartite Commission, which also includes the United States and the International Security Assistance Force. Since its inception in 2003 in Islamabad, the Tripartite Commission has met 35 times and remains a potent platform to seek operational clarity on ground coordination. Third, in terms of multilateral cooperation, we are engaged in a number of important regional initiatives in Afghanistan with other friendly countries like Iran, Tajikistan, Turkey, the Russian Federation, China, the United States, and even Kyrgyzstan. Besides regional connectivity for economic cooperation, security is a common theme of these initiatives. Undertaken at the highest political level, the exchange is credible and meaningful. In deference to such concrete and comprehensive interactions, we tend to avoid a blame game even when militants cross over from the other side and attack our troops and innocent civilians. As stated by our Foreign Minister in the general debate on Tuesday, we must work closely and as responsible partners together in a cooperative manner and not rush to judgments or question each other's intentions. The report of the Secretary General has rightly pointed out that development, governance and the rule of law are crucial for irreversible transition processes, as envisaged in the Kabul conference. The Secretary General has stressed the need for capturing the current political and financial interest in transition to set the country on a sustainable course. He has also underlined the value of long-term international support and private sector investment in facilitating the transition. This has not, despite many words here, quite materialized and has been the bane and the problem in Afghanistan. These are valid observations and merit serious attention from Afghanistan's international partners. Pakistan is not oblivious to Afghanistan's developmental needs and the imperatives of a successful implementation for the Kabul process. We will continue our assistance programs in Afghanistan, the largest we, at the moment being the state we are, that we have with any country, despite our serious resource constraints. We have also offered assistance in capacity building for Afghan security forces. We are still host to millions of Afghan refugees at very considerable cost to us. The present UNAMA report does not update us on the refugee situation. We hope it will do so in the next report, and we hope that the international community will remain cognizant of Pakistan's problems. I thank you, Mr. President.